Dragoncast.
I wanted to mention EA plays Dragon Age Vielgaurd for its reduced revenue, like we did cover in a previous Dragoncast, right? To start this off. And I want to mention this fourth thing. Dragon Age, the Vielgaurd's clumsy, preachy political messaging does more harm than good. Because it goes with the whole theme of the podcast, right? That we're talking about, like the price of political activism in games. All right. The best way to convince someone of your own point of view is generally not to bash. The best way to convince someone of your own point of view is generally not to bash them over the head with a cudgel, though that seems to be the preferred approach in modern political discourse and alas in entertainment. The culture, being what it is, has lost all sense of subtlety, and far too many films, TV shows, and video games we've seen a heavy-handed, top-down approach to the issues of the day. It is a real shame the developers of Bioware decided to go this route in Dragon Age Vielgaurd. All right, I've already posted my impression of the piece, but Vielgaurd has been a lot more fun and a lot more engaging than I expected, even if I'm annoyed with his overtly saturated, overtly cartoonish style. In my piece, I know that so far at least, I hadn't encountered anything overtly preachy or one that might describe as largely political or overly woke. The game's diverse and it gives you options to play as male or female, but my time with it, this felt mostly like giving players more choice and freedom. Excuse me. And I'm all for it, especially in an RPG where choice and freedom are largely that point. Yes, I've already talked about that. The illusion of choice. An illusion of choice is a saying, like I learned in college, is basically allowing the players to explore your world, right? It's called the illusion of choice because if you press the A button, right, they're not going to be able to go left, right? You want them to go a certain way, right? Like go to this. Go walk to this guy, right? But the player decides to walk somewhere else. Now, that means that the player has that illusion. He can do whatever the fuck he wants. But until he goes to that guy, like the quest says, to progress the game will not progress. It might progress in some case, like a side quest or this or that, but the main story itself will not progress. That's called the illusion of choice. Right? But not right. A certain section of the game has not been making rounds on social media, being rounded and rightfully mocked. Unfortunately, the scene in question will be played directly into the narrative that this game is woke, feeding the cycle of online discourse that goes nowhere but earns a lot of clicks. It will undoubtedly turn many gamers off entirely, not necessarily because they're unsympathetic to trans rights, but because they're tired of being preached at. In the scene in question below, one character misgenders another to atone for this sin. She says some push-ups, bada bing, bada boom, right? Once you get to that point, it starts getting preachy. But again, my problem is not the inclusion of trans non-binary characters, but with the ham-fisted way this issue is framed. Basically, it's forced in there. If you force something in there, people aren't going to like it. People aren't going to want it. It doesn't make sense, right? And my argument is we have magic, right? And no one, even to this day, like no one agrees with the concept of not a lot of people agree with the concept of non-binary. So we're told to keep quiet, shut your mouth, or you'll be canceled on Twitter, you'll be canceled on Facebook. And so they kept quiet for many years. It was believed to be believed to be socially accepted, socially believed, and even though it's scientifically debunked. And when freedom of speech was released again and people could speak what they want, it came in a flood wave, and the left and wokies could not handle it. But anyways, because they did that and the word of mouth spread that it was woke, it was garbage, it was not good. Because remember, even I said I don't think it's going to follow lore, but I was going to wait and see. But I was not going to buy the game until I was sure, because I wanted the game to be good, but I didn't want my love of the game to be spoiled by Dragon Age Vielgaurd if it was bad, right? The Vielgaurd's price has plummeted after not hitting sales expectations. He revealed the disappointing news last week that Dragon Age Vielgaurd did not meet lofty expectations set for it by quite some way, only pulling in half the players expected at launch. This studio now appears to be performing damage control by slashing the price of the game across multiple storefronts. And part of the reason is Game Pass, right? Are you going to get the game for $5? Or are you going to get the game for $80? Right? I'm just putting arbitrary numbers. If I can get the game for $5 and it be legal, I'm going to get it for $5. If I can get it for free, like Nvidia did, I'm going to get it for free. However, I did not get the game. I refused to get it at all. All right? But because of those choices, plus the ham-fisted preaching of wokeism, when gamers hear the word woke, when they smell and detect something as woke, and you say, yeah, it's woke as fuck, we're a queer master gender thing, and we're gonna own the chuds, and Dragon Age is queer now. When you say shit like that to people who loved the game for what it was, that supported and waited 10 years for this is the cost. So now, I don't, to my knowledge, I don't know if there's a game that made it to $24 on Amazon, as they're saying here, the Vielgaurd at GameStop or for Amazon just for $24.99. Lowest price in the latest Dragon Age game that's dropped now was $40, hitting that low over Christmas. And that came out this past fall, did it not? And I think it was like October, right? And the game failed. So yeah. It turned off gamers with its review. Like, this guy's trying to cope with it, Eric Kane, but he's not wrong in his title. Honestly, political messaging does more harm than good. It doesn't help the game. Plus, the Archaic Child, it was not a good choice. Then you had the Game Pass. You had all these factors that came in, these bad choices. Right? It was in development hell. Like, the gamer said 4 out of 5. Well, if it was a 4 out of 5, why did they drop themselves that price? Just to prove it. So someone says, oh, you're lying. This is GameStop. Dragon Age, the Vielgaurd, Xbox Series X, bestseller, fire. But they're saying if it's a bestseller, $29.99 or $20.69. If it was a bestseller, condition pre-owned. All right, okay, fine. But we'll see if we can find. We'll see. We'll go Xbox. Xbox Series. Let's do it this way. Dragon Age. I thought I got the one that was brand new. I don't want someone to say, oh, that's just pre-owned, dude. Let's see, this is filtered here. Condition, new. So the deluxe, the deluxe edition is still $80. You got the Rooks expansion, $9.99, right? So the special editions are still hundreds of dollars. They're trying to get their monies, right? They're hoping for a sucker. Right? See, condition new, $22. Digital is still $44. If you get the digital, you're still going to pay this much. But if you get the hard copy, you'll get $24. So if you're a collector, you want to collect this because it's a failed item, you get it. You'll get it now, right? But the costs according to Bioware, where I was at, the cost of such grandstanding, right, is. Hello, everyone. Today we are turning towards the future, preparing for the next chapter of Bioware's story. As we announced in August 2023, we are changing how we build games to meet the needs of our upcoming projects and hold ourselves to the highest quality standards. Now that Dragon Age Vielgaurd has been released, a core team at Bioware's development, the next Mass Effect game under leadership or veterans from the original trilogy like Mike Gamble, Preston Wadamuk, Derek Watts, Per Slay, and others. In keeping with our fierce commitment to innovation during development and delivery of Mass Effect, we had challenged ourselves to thinking deeply about delivering the best experience for our fans. We are taking this opportunity between full development cycles to reimagine how we work at Bioware. Given this stage of development, we don't require support from the full studio. Whoa. Given this stage of development, we don't require support from the full studio. We have incredible talent here at Bioware, and so we have worked diligently over the past few months to match many of our colleagues with other teams at EA and open roles that were a strong fit. So, just like with Ubisoft, what's happening at Bioware? We already know the lead writers, people are getting fired, right? Confirmed Dragon Age. This is from 80 level. This is one of the game industry things I follow. Confirmed Dragon Age, the Vielgaurd's writers and producers laid off as part of the Bioware's restructuring. So it's not just Joe Schmo who was, entry level position that's getting fired. We're talking people responsible for the production of the game, not just in the team itself. Earlier today, Bioware's general manager Gary McKay issued a public statement announcing that the studio is undergoing restructuring to focus the development of Mass Effect 5, led by veterans from the original trilogy, right? So we already know this. But here's what I want to point out. According to the post shared on LinkedIn and Blue Sky, Bioware's restructuring has led to the termination of Dragon Age Vielgaurd's lead writer Trick Wheats, lead editor Karen Westweeks, and narrative editor Ryan Cormier. Additionally, Bioware producer Jennifer Chevere-Cote, I hope I'm saying that right, associate game producer Daniel Steed. So basically that's the team, that's what the creative team is. This is Bioware itself. Bioware producer, right? Bioware associate game producer Daniel Steed, senior product manager Lena Anderson, and senior systems designer Michelle Flam were also let go, while senior writer Cheryl Chi, who wrote Dragon Age's Layla, Isabella Blackwell, and Harding, and cinematic designer Derek Wilkes were both moved to EA Motive. So some got moved, right? But a lot of people lost their jobs for how they manage, and was poor leadership, poor management, bad calls. They focused on awards rather than what the market wanted. They did not manage the IP very well. Okay. The Vielgaurd has engaged about 1.5 million players, indicated the number of the copies sold might even be lower, and fell half of the. Yeah. So you gave copies for free. Yeah, you had the game pass. You fucked yourself royally. On top of that, people were requesting refunds of the ones that had them, right? Don't forget to join our 80 level talent platform. Blah blah blah. Hey, it's good for your ID. I'm just putting here just so you know. Bioware doesn't require support from the full studio. All right. So it's basically saying the same thing in IGN, but I know some people don't like IGN, so I like to use a couple of sources. So it's already being announced. It's already being blasted. But as we also know, Corbin Bush was also let go, right? And that's what happens when you political activism. I would buy the Vielgaurd Revolving DLC and more so they got Dragon Age Origins. It was fine. You go ahead. I probably won't. I'm not sure. I might get it if I want to be a collector's item thing, but I'd rather just. It's kind of like that Dorkly thing where they had Darth Vader versus Captain Picard, and they're doing like the Star Wars and Star Trek nerds thing, and Darth Vader goes, gets roasted. He goes, "Oh, yeah, that's hilarious. It's almost as hilarious as Star Trek 5," and Picard goes, "We don't speak of the odd number Star Trek movies, right?" In this case, I would never speak of this ever again as a fan of Dragon Age, because Belgard was horrible. You had someone that came in here to put their own ideology in there and failed at doing it to where it made sense. Therefore, you could have added in there if you wanted to. You could have, but you decided to preach to people, right? You focus more on preaching and talking down to people, rather than making people care about the character. Taz was one of the most hated characters in the game. All right? But that's the price of multis in game. The game is actually running okay, but the writing is bad, and the gameplay is more like God of War. Is not bad, but people expected a more tactical game. Are you talking about? You're talking about Dragon Age, right? I watched the game. I haven't played it, but I started slowly getting disinterested because I was getting upset at some of the story lore. I remember Hypnotic was playing. He said it was a bunch of button mashing, repeated mashing, and there was not really much interest in it. But moving on, I decided to forgive you for what? There's nothing to be sorry about. You haven't offended anybody. You're good. Yeah, Dragon Age. Yeah. So like,
worlds clash in endless collision. Gaming news with a fierce precision. With a spark so wild it breaks the norm. In the tempest eye of cyberstorm, reclaim gaming in Dragoncast. Fire breathing wide, screaming loud. Lavistro's here to shake the crowd.